This week, the war eats Minnesota apart, and the Army of Virginia is tested again. First thing this week is from last week, as editor of New York Tribune Horace Greeley wrote to Lincoln. To Abraham Lincoln, President of the United States. Dear Sir, I do not intrude to tell you, for you must know already that a great proportion of those who triumphed in your election, and of all who desire the unqualified suppression of rebellion now desolating our country, are sorely disappointed and deeply pained by the policy you seem to be pursuing with regard to the slaves of the rebels. I write only to set succinctly and unmistakably before you what we require, what we think we have a right to expect, and of what we complain. I close as I began with the statement that with an immense majority of the loyal millions of your countrymen require of you is a frank, declared, unqualified, ungrudging execution of the laws of the land, more especially of the Confiscation Act. That act gives freedom to the slave of rebels coming within our lines, whom those lines may at the time enclose. We ask you to render it due obedience by publicly requiring all your subordinates to recognize and obey it. The rebels are everywhere, using the late anti-Negro riots in the North. They have long used your officers' treatment of Negroes in the South to convince the slaves that they have nothing to hope from Union success. That we mean in that case to sell them into a bitter bondage to defray the cost of war. Let them impress this as a truth on the great mass of their ignorant and credulous bondsmen. Union will never be restored, never. You cannot conquer 10 millions of people united in a solid phalanx against us, powerfully aided by the northern sympathizers and European allies. We must have scouts, guides, spies, cooks, teamsters, diggers, and choppers from the blacks of the South. We want them to fight for us or not, or we shall be baffled and repelled. As one of the millions who would gladly have avoided this struggle at any sacrifice, but that principle and honor, but who now feel that the triumph of the Union is dispensable not only to the existence of our country, to the well-being of mankind, I entreat you to render a hearty and unequivocal obedience to the law of the land. Yours, Horace Greeley. This week, Lincoln responds. Executive Mansion, Washington, August 22nd, 1862. Honorable Horace Greeley. Dear Sir, I have just read yours of the 19th addressed to myself through the New York Tribune. There be it in any statement or assumption of fact which I may know to be erroneous, I do not now and here controvert them. If there be any interferences which I may believe to be falsely drawn, I do not now and here argue against them. They be perceptible in an impatient and dictatorial tone. I live it in deference of an old friend, sort I've always supposed to be right. As for the policy I seem to be pursuing, as you say, I have not meant to leave anyone in doubt. I would save the Union. I would save in the shortest way under the Constitution. The sooner the national authority can be restored, the nearer Union will be the Union as it was. There be those who would not save the Union unless they could at the same time save slavery. I do not agree with them. If there be those who would not save the Union unless they could at the same time destroy slavery, I do not agree with them. My paramount object in the struggle is to save the Union. It's not either to save or destroy slavery. If I could save the Union without freeing any slaves, I would do it. If I could save it by freeing all the slaves, I would do it. If I could save it by freeing some and leaving others alone, I would also do that. What I do about slavery and the color race, I do because I believe it helps to save the Union. And what I forbear because I do not believe it would help to save the Union. I shall do less whenever I shall believe what I'm doing hurts the cause. I shall do more whenever I shall believe doing more will help the cause. I shall try to correct errors when shown to be errors, and I shall adopt new views so fast as they shall appear to be true views. I have here stated my purpose according to my view of official duty, and I intend to no modification of my oft-expressed personal wish that all men everywhere could be free. Yours, A. Lincoln. On the 22nd, parts of the Army of the Potomac arrived to relieve the Army of Virginia, those being from the 3rd Corps under Major General Samuel P. Heintzelman, Major General Fitz-John Porter's 5th Corps, and sections of the 6th Corps under Brigadier General George W. Taylor, the New Jersey Brigade's commander. Most of the army is moving towards D.C. Alexandria. As the Army of the Potomac arrives, the Army of Northern Virginia faces off with the Army of Virginia. Union has occupied Rappahannock Station, Waterloo Bridge, and a position south of the Rappahannock River. In order for full General Robert.E.Lee's plan to succeed, he needs Major General James Longstreet to dislodge the Union and take Rappahannock Station. Giant storms have flooded the Rappahannock River and made any grand movement impossible. On the 22nd, Longstreet sends artillery to destroy the Union position in a knoll just south of the raging river. They can't do it on the 22nd, but on the 23rd, he is successful. Union artillery withdraws and blows up the Waterloo Bridge behind them. The Confederates then move to occupy the knoll, but the Union artillery decimates them. At noon, Union artillery moves up north, begins shelling Confederate infantry, who are forced to withdraw under fire. Suffering greatly, Confederate artillery then arrives and forces the Union to withdraw. The 24th, nothing much happens. The 25th, at 3 in the morning, Major General Thomas Stonewall Jackson begins moving upriver. The battle is over, and in total 225 soldiers became casualties. From the 25th to the 27th, there was skirmishing between Confederate forces and Union forces at Bristow Station. It increases on the 28th, when a full-on battle is held at Thoroughfare Gap. But before that, a comment from Major General George B. McClellan to President Abraham Lincoln. The last news I received from the direction of Manassas was from stragglers, the fact that the enemy were evacuating Centreville and retreating toward Thoroughfare Gap. This is by no means reliable. I'm clear that one of the two courses should be adopted. First, to concentrate all our available forces to open communication with Pope. Second, to leave Pope to get out of his scrape, and at once use all means to make the capital perfectly safe. No middle course will now answer. Tell me what you wish me to do, and I will do all in my power to accomplish it. I wish to know what my orders and authority are. I ask for nothing, but will obey whatever orders you give. I only ask a prompt decision that may at once give the necessary orders. It will not do to delay longer. Now to Thoroughfare Gap. It is a water gap allowing the Confederates to easily march onto Manassas Junction. Major General John Pope can't allow this. Sends out Brigadier General James Ricketts with 5,000 men to keep the gap in Union hands. Around 9:30 in the morning, men of the 1st New Jersey Cavalry under Colonel Percy Wyndham seize the vanguard of Major General Longstreet's forces. He sends word to Ricketts and continues to fell trees. Ricketts moves slowly, allowing for Longstreet to deploy his forces on the high ground for both the east and west sides. When Ricketts does arrive in the afternoon, he immediately sends up 2 regiments, the 11th Pennsylvania and the 13th Massachusetts. Both are repulsed. And with Longstreet having the better position and more men, Ricketts retreats. He doesn't want to risk his line of retreat being cut off, thus allowing Longstreet to meet up with Jackson. It's a small Confederate victory, and a combined 100 casualties, but it will have gigantic repercussions. As for what Jackson was doing today, that will come later, but now we turn to the Dakota War. At Fort Ridgely, the siege continues on the 22nd. Little Crow has now a force of 800 warriors, including some Sisseton and Wahpeton. As the storm has dissipated, he is ready to attack. He camouflages his warriors by having them put prairie grass in their headbands. This allows them to get close enough to execute Stage 2 of the plan, unleash their incendiary arrows onto the roofs. Unfortunately for Little Crow, the storm of the 21st wooded the roofs of the fort enough where only a few catch fire. They were soon put out by civilians with water buckets. The Dakota are repulsed, forcing Little Crow to come up with a new plan. Wear the settlers down, then engage them in hand-to-hand combat. The Dakota charge from the southwest and capture the stables and sutler house, but the Minnesota howitzers cause the buildings to catch fire. Ironic given the first plan. The second charge also fails. For hours it becomes a duel of ranged weapons. During this time, Little Crow is wounded, and command falls to Mankato. Mankato gets ready for a final charge. In response, Fort Ridgely double loads canister shot. When the Dakota charge, the artillery fire is accurate and devastating. Before they even get within rifle range, the warband breaks and retreats. The next day, New Ulm is attacked once again. The earlier force of 50 had been bolstered to 300 by the arrival of Charles Flandrau and 175 men, but the 100 Native Americans of the first battle have grown to 650. In the morning, the people of New Ulm walked to the direction of Fort Ridgely and see fires. Flandrau sends out a detachment of 75 beyond the barricades to investigate further. It's a trick. The detachment is trapped by the Sioux. Things are looking desperate. The Dakota have surrounded New Ulm. Flandrau sends out his second-in-command, Dodd, to meet the Native American detachments. The Dakota give out a terrifying yell that breaks the inexperienced settlers. They retreat to a mill. As the detachment occupies several buildings, here becomes a long-range skirmish. And the defenders are slowly withered away, including Dodd, who is struck dead. Then a group of 60 Sioux warriors get ready to charge New Ulm proper. They yell, but the defenders don't break. Instead, a volley is unleashed from a nearby building. And those outside countercharge, breaking the 60 warriors. This turns the battle. The Sioux attack breaks apart. On the 24th, 2,150 people of New Ulm leave the safety of their barricades and head for Mankato, Minnesota. On their way out, they hear some gunfire from far away. 25th, they reach Mankato without incident. The 26th, Colonel Henry Sibley begins to move towards Fort Ridgely with 1,400 men. On the 27th, he reaches the fort and breaks the siege. By the 28th, all 1,400 are in the fort. The entire siege, 3 settlers were killed and 13 wounded. Around 100 are estimated for Native Americans, but only 2 have been confirmed killed. With the fort fully secured, Flandrau is ordered to move to the frontier and go on the offensive. A parole of Minnesotans in the Civil War reached their home state and moved to the front line. Then there are Sickles. The Excelsior Brigade is in Alexandria. Sickles now has seen the home front. It's depressed. He isn't giving up. He will energize the New York's war effort if it's the last thing he does. That's where the week ends. And it ends with things getting worse in northern Virginia as things stabilize in Minnesota. Major General John Pope needs to attack to keep his supply line intact, or move quickly to Manassas Junction. Meade has evacuated one of their 2 safe spots in southwest Minnesota, but Fort Ridgely is no longer under siege. But the Union needs to move to protect settlers. It's the Union's turn to go on the assault, and if they fail, well, they won't fail. Hopefully. Hello, it's the entire Civil War Week by Week team here, and I'm pleased to announce I have created a Patreon. I'd like to thank Kevin Mack, who has already joined it. It means the world to me. I'm not saying that you should join. This entire production will go on without. It's just if you have the money, and only if you have the money, and you would like to give it to me, I would gladly accept it and forever be in your debt. Now for the normal things. If you liked the video, please like it. If you want to tell me how much you liked it, please comment. If you want to check out what has happened last week, you should be seeing that around now. If you really want to understand the war, you should be seeing a playlist about it right now. Thank you all, and I shall see you next week.